Hello fellow bibliophiles and welcome back to Blatantly Bookish. I'm Marissa and today I am so excited to share my Jane Austen July TBR with you. That's right, it is time to figure out what I am reading for this year's Jane Austen July. If you're watching this video, you're probably familiar with what Jane Austen July is, but if for some reason you're not, do feel free to check out the announcement videos if you want to hear more about the challenges or if you're looking for some good recommendations. But basically, Jane Austen July is a month-long readathon in the month of July, all about Jane Austen, celebrating her writing, her works, her life, and her legacy. And so today I'm just going to go through each of the challenges and talk about the books I want to read. There are too many of them on this list, and I probably cannot read them all. But what is a good TBR without ridiculous ambition? So for the first challenge, reading one of Jane Austen's main 6 novels, my main priority is Emma. It is the group read this year, and I am so excited to return to probably what is my second favorite Jane Austen novel. Emma is just so funny, and I love revisiting her as a character. Plus, there are just a lot of other really hysterical characters in Emma. And if time allows, I would love to revisit my favorite Jane Austen novel, Pride and Prejudice. It is one that I go back to again and again, and I just love it immensely. It would be great if I could sneak in a Pride and Prejudice reread this month as well. For the second challenge, to read something that is not one of Jane Austen's main 6 novels, I am actually leaning towards The History of England. I have this fun little edition of it, and it has all of Cassandra's wonderful illustrations as well as the facsimile version. So you can really see Jane Austen's handwriting, and I think it would be really fun to reread this one. I'm also considering dipping in and out of some letters. I have a bind-up of the letters, but I'm pointing in the wrong spot, bind-up of the letters behind me as well, and I dipped in and out of them one year during Jane Austen July and found it a lot of fun, so I might do the same thing again. For the third challenge, I have a lot of options. This one is the nonfiction challenge, to read nonfiction about Jane Austen or her time period. And the first book I have is, I think, what is going to be a popular one this year, and that is Jane Austen's Bookshelf by Rebecca Romney. I started this one in June, so I will definitely be reading it in July. Hopefully I will finish it up soon and be able to discuss it with you guys. This book is all about Rebecca Romney, who is a rare book dealer, and her adventures discovering Jane Austen's contemporaries. She has amazing discussions about Jane Austen's place in the canon and the other authors who have inspired her and what happened to them. Why are they not as prominent in our canon today? Why has society more or less forgotten about them? And what are their works like in comparison to Austen's? It's part memoir, it's part biography, because she goes through these different authors from Jane Austen's era and tells us a little bit about their lives as well as their works, and it's a lot of fun so far, so hopefully I will finish this. The next book is another one I picked up from the library. It's a really interesting sounding piece of nonfiction called Jane Austen and the Price of Happiness by Sigrun Brodey. This examines Jane Austen's endings, and specifically marriage and the marriage plot. How happy are Austen's heroines, and how happy does Jane Austen expect the reader to be at the end of the book? In what ways does Jane Austen subvert the conventional marriage plot to ensure her heroine's happiness, and in what ways are we reading into the marriage plot to mean something else by our modern day sensibilities? You know, we have this conception of her characters end up in these happy marriages, they married for love, happily ever after, rom-com type thing, and yet in Jane Austen's era, marriage did not always equate with happiness. And there are many characters in her own books who exemplify that. So I'm really interested in seeing how this piece of nonfiction explores marriage both in today's society and in Austen's time, and how our modern sensibilities may interpret or misinterpret Austen. Keeping with the theme of love and marriage, I am very excited to hopefully this month read Rory Muir's book, Love and Marriage in the Age of Jane Austen. Last year, I read his wonderful book, Gentlemen of Uncertain Fortune, which is all about second sons in Jane Austen's time and how they had to make their own way in the world in terms of financial success. And I'm really interested in hearing what he has to say about love and marriage in Austen's time. I think it'll play really nicely with that other book I just talked about, in terms of what is expected, how people get married, and does marriage always equate with love? In essence, what happens after our happily ever afters in Jane Austen? Both books kind of look at that topic, and it's a really interesting one to explore. Challenge number 4 is to read a retelling of a Jane Austen book or historical fiction set in Jane Austen's time. And for this one, I am very excited about mysteries for some reason. I, with high priority, want to read The Perils of Lady Catherine deBourgh by Claudia Gray. And yes, if you see a bookmark sticking up, it is because I might have already started it. I love this series so far. Claudia Gray just has this magical way of recreating Austen's characters. They just feel so real. It almost feels as if Austen wrote these herself. But it's also just really, really good fan fiction. Unfortunately, I do think you have to read them all in order. So if you haven't read any of her work so far, I would start with The Murder of Mr. Wickham. And then I got this out from the library. This is Miss Austen Investigates, or The Hapless Milliner, a novel by Jessica Bull. This is murder mystery featuring Austen's family. Apparently, her brother George is found with the jewelry of someone who has been murdered, and Miss Austen has to use her wit and her charm to figure out what really happened and clear her brother's name. It sounds interesting, and I know that Katie from Books and Things absolutely loves this book and specifically loves this author as well. I think the two of them have become friends. So I do really want to read this one. And then I've had this murder mystery sitting on my shelves for a very long time. This is Jane and the Unpleasantness at Scargrave Manor by Stephanie Barron. Stephanie Barron has written a very long murder mystery series featuring Jane Austen as the detective figure, or the sleuth. I'm not sure, but I think Stephanie Barron might have put this kind of Jane Austen murder mystery genre on the map. So I'm interested to see what she's done with that and the series in general. So I think those were my murder mysteries in order of priority to read them. But I do have a few other things that are not murder mysteries. And this is Jane Austen Made Me Do It, edited by Laurel and Nattress, and I hope I said that right. Last year, the editor of this book actually reached out to me via email, and we had this wonderful little dialogue all about Jane Austen and Jane Austen July, and then she was telling me about her book, and I actually have it on my shelves, and it's been unread for years, and I really should remedy that. So this is a series of short stories either inspired by or about Jane Austen or her characters, and they are written by people who love Jane Austen and love writing about Jane Austen. So one of the authors featured on this cover is Stephanie Barron, who wrote this book, which I was just talking about, and there are also other authors on here that I recognize. Siri James, I know, writes a Jane Austen series. I believe it's Diaries by Jane Austen characters. And Laurie Vera Brigler has written a book that I read, and then there's a sequel that I haven't read, about time travel and Jane Austen. It's the premise, what if a modern day reader went back into Jane Austen's time? And then I think the sequel is the opposite. But the point is, these are people who know and love and frequently write about Jane Austen. So I'm really excited to see what Laurel has curated here. I'm just going to read you the table of contents so you can get some of the story names. She wrote the introduction, of course, and then there's Jane Austen's Nightmare, Waiting, a story inspired by Jane Austen's Persuasion, A Night at Northanger, Jane and the Gentleman Rogue, being a fragment of a Jane Austen mystery, Faux Jane, Nothing Less Than Fairyland, Love and Best Wishes, Aunt Jane, Jane Austen and the Mistletoe Kiss, When Only a Darcy Will Do, Heard of You, The Ghost Writer, Mr. Bennet Meets His Match, Jane Austen, Yeah, 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 Letters to Lydia, The Mysterious Closet, A Tale, Jane Austen's Cat, Me and Mr. Darcy, Again, What Would Austen Do, The Riding Habit, The Love Letter, The Chase, and Intolerable Stupidity. So those titles got me really excited about this book, and I hope I can pick it up. And the last book for this challenge that I'm interested in is the new book by Gill Hornby called Elopement. I actually ordered it, and so it should arrive by July or in July, I'm sure. But let's face it, I have enough books to read for this challenge, so I might not get to that one in July. The fifth challenge is to read a contemporary of Jane Austen, give or take a few years, of course. And this book has really been helping me out with that. I started looking up some of the books mentioned in here, and a lot of them are really long. Most of them are hard to come by in print, so I have a lot of free Kindle books on my phone. I was thinking of reading one of Elizabeth Inchbald's plays. I absolutely loved reading Lover's Vows a few years ago when we read Mansfield Park, and so this year I was thinking maybe I could read a different play. I've really enjoyed reading plays for this challenge in general because they're kind of on the shorter side. So I've read Richard Brinsley Sheridan's The Rivals and School for Scandal in the past, but this year I think I might want to return to Elizabeth Inchbald. And so I actually have 3 plays downloaded by her. I have The Widow's Vow, a farce in 2 acts. I have Next Door Neighbors, a comedy in 3 acts. And Such Things Are, a play in 5 acts. And I'm leaning towards Such Things Are because I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly from this book, that is the play that really put her on the map. Challenge number 6 is to watch a direct screen adaptation of a Jane Austen novel. And for this, I am going to watch the Emma adaptations. I'm so excited that my husband is going to read Emma with me this year. He's actually already started, and it's been really exciting to hear his thoughts so far. So I can't wait to hear what he thinks of some of my favorite Emma adaptations as well. I am going to show him the 2009 BBC version of Emma, as well as the 2020 version of Emma with Anna Taylor-Joy. That is also the group watch-along this year. So Katie and Claudia and I are going to watch that, maybe together, maybe separately. Our schedules are a little hard to align at this point, but we'll definitely be discussing it together, and there will be a video for you guys on that. So the 7th challenge is to watch a modern screen adaptation of a Jane Austen book. And for this one, I, with priority, am rewatching Clueless with my husband. I think Clueless is potentially the best adaptation of Emma in so many different ways, and I'm really excited to watch it again and watch it with him. I haven't seen this movie in a very long time. So that was my TBR for Jane Austen July. It was overly ambitious, as most Jane Austen July TBRs are, so I won't be getting around to all of these, but I hope I do get around to reading many of these because I am so excited for each and every one of them. I can't wait to hear in the comments down below, are you participating in Jane Austen July? And if so, which books are you reading this year? If you have a TBR, please mention it down below. I would love to see your channel and be introduced to you that way, as well as see what you are reading for Jane Austen July. If you've read any of these books before, I would love to hear in the comments what you thought about them. Which books do you think should be my priority here? Because I really am looking to narrow this down a little bit. I wish I could get around to everything, but it simply doesn't seem like that will be possible. So yeah, please give me your input. What do you think I should read with priority? Until next time, I look forward to seeing you in a bookish and probably Jane Austen related video very soon. Bye!